Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a non-bingo rack, but I do have the Q with the U, so I have key and keyed. It will certainly be galling if neither of those gets to play. And then having C and H in the rack leave is also good because they have some synergy. So at first sight this looks pretty grim, but it's not unless opponent plays a super tight opening play. And if opponent changes, I'll have keyed with the Q doubled, which will be a big score. Through an E, I would have queechy. Not seeing anything else to particularly mention. Wow, what a start for opponent. Great bingo. So I have queechy in column 10, which gets the Q tripled. Do I have anything through this I? So I have queich, but that doesn't take an I. So I think this is best. Queechy for 50. Not great, all bingo-y tiles, but unbalanced, just the one vowel and duplicates. Now there are floating vowels on the board. Do any of them assist? And I think it's unlikely. How about the A? No, and I'm going to struggle to score with no scoring tiles. I'm not seeing a double-double through the I. Although I could play Indri onto it to sort the rack out. Only 14 points, that's grim. Now I do have an I for going next to the Q. Interesting, so I could play din. Well, leaving 4 consonants, but they're 4 good consonants. So I'd be in really good shape if I drew 2 vowels. Well, opponent's gone in that spot. I do have, well, I was going to say inard, but that may have a sticky S. No I going after N, otherwise I could play din. So I could play nin, but I think I am not scoring enough to keep 4 consonants. I'd be much better off leaving a better rack leave. So I could play dinar, but the R's quite useful. DNS, not as good as NRS. How about these high-scoring tiles in queechy? Can I do anything with either of those? And I need to sort out all duplicates. Well, the best I can see is hind, which isn't good. I could play rid in column 12, but that has front hooks. So what to do? Not easy. And time is ticking down. Surely I've got something through H or Y. Not seeing anything. So I think this is best, preserving the I. It's only 10 points. But this rack leave is pretty good. And I'm not providing any opportunities for opponent. I'm going with this. Okay, through an A, I would have and do have ordinars. So do I have any... an opponent's blocked that, what a shame. And what about the A of queechy? Is that available? It's not. What a shame. I was optimistic that might stay available. Is there a 7 with this rack? Don't think so. I do have 2 vowels, so I could play in column 11, getting value from these high-scoring tiles. Should I be looking for a 9? What about UR? I think it's unlikely with no E. NUR is good. Interesting, so I could play NOR. 17 points, quite a good rack leave. I don't think I can score much more than that. What about Horn? 14 points, well that's less. And I'm leaving alone these floaters, which I need to do since I trail. Wow, what a grim pick. And I'm really struggling because I'm not getting bingo-y vowels, which are A and E, and nor are there any floaters of those tiles. Another bingo now by opponent could be pretty fatal. Phew. He doesn't bingo, only 24 points, that's good. But what can I do here? Just so hard to see anything good. And certainly I'm going to struggle to score. What about H and Y? They're not particularly bingo-y floaters. I could play Horrid, but I think that's too open or too easy for opponent to score off, and doesn't really assist me. Yed, I think, is better. 16 points, it does take an S. I have an S. It's not providing anything massive. The rack leave is okay. But this whole board is getting pretty choked up. The whole top left and bottom, the whole left-hand side of the board is non-bingo-y. But I don't think I can do anything about that. So I've got Yerds and Darns available. And Wiping takes an S, I believe, so I think I will go with Yerd. Okay, well, I have the Z. I don't think I'll be bingoing this turn. Let me consider the available floaters. Not seeing anything with the N, the D, C, B, no, although I do have Borts. Yeah, and nothing with Wiping. So, pretty much anything I play is going to leave a decent rack leave. Are there any big scoring spots? What about a Z something S play? I have Zoster. Wow, that's going to be a bingo-y score. Will that stay available? And that will be super volatile because it'll be putting an R in the middle of row O. It'll also be providing access to this middle triple word square in column 15. But since I trail, volatility is good, especially on the back of a big score. But an opponent destroyed my dreams earlier by playing Auk and stopping me playing Ordinars, so he may well do the same. Now, what about column 8? Do I have anything ending ZER? Don't think I do. What about any Z play? Well, Zoster, 48 points. Could be worth doing because that would open up the top left of the board. And there are still 2 blanks to come. But the column 14 play just scores so much and remains available. Fantastic. So I have Zoster for 79. Well, I dodged both of the blanks, but I'm back in the game, trailing by only 8. I have third in row O. And look at this, I do now have some bingo-y vowels, but there's a ton of them to come, so I could get swamped. Both A and E go next to the Z. Is there a bingo with this rack? I don't think there is. F and Y. do feature in IFY bingos, but I don't have an I. There's no floating I. Great, just 27 points for opponent. Now, I think I have fade for 50 points. Pretty good rack leave. I think I do need to go in this spot. It's just too useful for opponent. It's just a matter of what's the best play here. Do I have anything which ends EF or EY? EY more likely. No, I'm not seeing anything. I am going with this. Wow, well, I don't draw blanks and I don't draw bingo-y tiles. However, there is hope because maybe I can score well off the J and the X. I got a bingo-y score off the Z. Can I achieve something similar with this rack? And I do now lead. And not many bingo lanes. However, there are some. Wiping taking an S, row N, but that will provide access to row O. Great, just 19 for opponents. What can I do here? So I've got XU. Doesn't sort the rack out much. I could play Fanjet, but that doesn't get doubled. Ah, but it does up here. So, why isn't that working? Okay, 44 points, that's pretty good. Zoo does play in column 3, so I've got a 30-point play pretty much guaranteed. And that gives little away. I'm turning over a lot of tiles, which is good with 2 blanks to come and only 33 tiles left. So I think this is a good play. Is it the best play? Well, I just can't see anywhere great for J and X. I do have Jux on my rack, J-E-U-X, so I could play off both of them if there was the right spot, and I don't think there is. So I'm going with Fanjet. Look at that, absolutely fantastic. I draw one of the blanks, and in fact I have a bingo on my rack. I have Eutexia, which plays in row N, and I have a 40-point lead, and my bingo remains available. Fantastic. But as mentioned, row N provides access to row O. Opponent could come straight back with a row O bingo. So is Eutexia the right play? The X does get tripled. Well, this could work out. I could draw the other blank. Opponent may not have a bingo. And if opponent doesn't have a bingo, what's he going to do? He's going to trail by a lot. If he leaves row O alone, I take it. And if he takes it, he's denying himself a bingo lane. And there are no other bingo lanes on the board. And there are possibilities for good non-bingo scoring plays for me. Now, is Eutexia the only bingo in this spot? Well, I don't think anything's going to score as much. What about the blank as an S? Orksites, possibly, but that doesn't play in row N. I am going with this. Well, I miss the other blank. Opponent may have it, but I do draw an S. Not that that's particularly useful on this board. Does opponent have a bingo? He doesn't. Fantastic. Look at that. Only 27 points. Has he signed his own death warrant? Now, what can I do to maintain this 90-point lead? Are there any bingo lanes I need to shut down? Well, yes, row O. Because a bingo could end ERS. Do I have a bingo? This looks pretty close. Yes, I do. I have used Steels. I have used Steely, but UE not good. Otherwise, that would play in row O. So does U Steely play anywhere else? It doesn't. What a shame. And I've got only 1-point tiles, so I've got a super bingo-y rack. What about a play down from the V? That would have to be 10 minutes on my clock. It would have to be VEU. Well, there aren't any of those on my rack. Well, I might have to take a low score here. What a shame to have a bingo on your rack and then be looking at a miserably low score. So, well, no, Setchel would be madness because that would provide access to a column 1 bingo. Ner takes a K in front. Well, that's not particularly useful. So I'm thinking about playing ULE. It provides nothing. It leaves a decent rack leave for me. It just takes out all options for opponent scoring and bingoing in row O. But it's always galling to get a score as low as this. But it's good to get rid of the U. And I think if I messed around cots, I might be able to find something a little bit better, although not necessarily. What about playing off more tiles here? There is an S and a blank to come. And I'm thinking about expediting the end of the game. So what about playing a lute, 8 points? And it's not so much great I've got 2 more points, it's great that I'm burning 2 more tiles when there are only 15 in the bag. And if the opponent is minded to play in column 2 to create a bingo lane in row 1, I'm in a very good position to just play there. Does anything go in front of Elute? Because if it does, this would be absolute madness. And it doesn't. What about a play which gets value from the X? 8 minutes on my clock. No, I don't see a way of getting my U underneath the X and involving this S. I'm going with Elute. Look at that, and that's another advantage of playing 5 tiles rather than 3. I massively increased my chances of drawing this blank. And this is pretty bingo-y if opponent chooses to open a bingo lane. He doesn't, just 22 points, that's good. And this is really good, 8 tiles left. I've got the option of playing V here. For 24 points, V takes nothing after it, so I'm not providing access to anything. And I'm keeping the score going, and I'm keeping a really good rack. Let me pause because, well, 7 minutes left. Is there really no bingo here? It's so easy to overlook bingo lanes. So what about B and A? I think they're most likely to feature in a bingo if they both feature rather than the bingo ending in B. So that would be an AB or OBEA. Well, V's likely to feature in over. So I'm not seeing anything in row C. Any other sets to consider? What about this I? Well, that's far too many vowels, I think. I'm going with V. It'll stop opponents scoring in this spot. Well, I draw vowels. The remaining tiles massively bingo-y. But I don't think opponent can do anything about it, and even if he can, my 100-point lead and my rack should enable me to outrun opponent. He certainly can't bingo twice with only 5 tiles left in the bag. Very tight board, but that's a great thing to see when you're hanging on to a lead. Great, just 5 points for opponent, and that does not create a bingo lane because nothing goes in front of GI. So 4 tiles left. What to do? Still an S to come, otherwise I could create a selfish lane. But maybe there's another way of creating a selfish lane. Does the opponent have anything which goes in front of oop? He has an R, so I can't do that. No, I'm not seeing a way of creating a selfish lane. But maybe there is one. I've still got 5 minutes left. So, how to do that? 4 tiles left. So if I played off woe somewhere, not seeing anywhere to do that. What about onto this D? I'm just struggling to find a way of creating a lane which is available for me, but which isn't available for opponent, because opponent has got so many useful consonants and indeed vowels. 4 minutes on my clock. Okay, I'm just going to get value from the W. How can I do that? So I can't play WE bottom left because that takes vowels in front. Well, very tempting to play OWE. Because it's 24 points, it means I outrun a bingo. There's 1 tile in the bag. O is a very unlikely final tile for a bingo. And in the unlikely circumstance that opponent does have a bingo, I just outrun him and possibly bingo back myself in column 2. I'm going with this. Wow, I'm pretty grim. Wasn't expecting to draw so many vowels. So I won't be having a huge score if opponent does bingo now, but I still think I'm far enough ahead to outrun him. There are no scoring tiles left, so opponent will struggle to do anything with 1 remaining tile should he bingo. Opponent's play of GI took out row I as a bingo lane for an 8-letter play, but I think that would be pretty unlikely. I will struggle to go out in 2 with this rack. 3 minutes on my clock. So now I didn't consider OPE words last turn. I'm still thinking of whether there was the opportunity of creating a selfish lane, but I don't think there was. I guess I could just play OPE. I may be able to go out in 1 with what's left. Look at this, opponent's still under 300 points and he started with a bingo, and he's a jolly good opponent, so he must have had some pretty rotten racks. I could play oot in row M. Not seeing anything ending with B. Okay, just 3 points for opponent. I don't think he's going to achieve anything with this rack. He's got transit and straint. Neither of those plays. So I need to plan an out in 2. How to do that? Everything I've considered so far has involved playing just 2 tiles. Well, maybe that's enough. So if I play ope here for 14, do I have a play down onto the R? I do, I have Soper. And if opponent plays in column 8, he'll be providing floaters, so I should be able to go out. So I'm going with this. Do I have an alternative to Soper as the board stands? Our opponents played just the S. And do I have something better than Soper? Because Soper puts the blank on the double letter square. Let me just run through the alphabet. I have 2 minutes. Not seeing anything so far. That's adores. There may not be something, but I think I might as well use this time. That's soaker, which has the same demerit as soper. That is soper. Serosa. What about the T? Does that give me anything? 1 minute on my clock. No. So, do I have anything better than Soper? That's 15 points. Anything ending GO? No, not seeing anything. Okay, I'm not seeing anything better than this. Soper for 15. And the final score, 319 for my opponent, 448 for me, a winning margin of 129 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. I was not expecting such a comfortable victory after opponent opened with a bingo. So, this was opponent's rack, and he played Wireable for 82, Brawly also available. My rack, and I played Queechy for 50, that was best, or highest scoring. Opponent's rack, no bingo, plays Banny. And I wasn't in good shape here, I trailed by 50, and I've got an unbalanced rack with no scoring tiles. So what do? I play Darn for 10. So Rind through the Y, using the same tiles as Darn, well that certainly would have been better, but not massively so, it's only 6 more points. Opponent's rack plays Auk, blocking Ordinars, and no other bingo. I thought about Horrid, but felt it was offering too much to opponent. So I went with Nor for 17, and I like that it's only 3 points off Horrid, and the rack leave arguably better. Opponent struggling with Eyes plays Wiping. Horrid remains available, but I still don't like it, and play Yerd for 16, and I think that's a better play. I trail by 60 still. Opponent's rack plays Ohm. And now, here we go, Zoster for 79. Absolutely delighted to have that bigger score for a non-bingo. And I'd now trail by just 8 points. Opponent's rack plays Miri. And I have Fade for 50. Fade also available for 50 using the E. But nothing scoring more. Opponent's rack unbalanced, plays Depp. Now I have Fanjet for 44, and that looks fine. Wow, no vowels at all for opponent, and there's a ton of them to come. Plays Vil. And I have Eutaxia, and Eutexia. But there are others. There's Exuviate, N7, through this E. Okay, well that's putting the X above the triple word square, so that's not better. And Bauxite, N6. Okay, so all the bingos are in row N. And I think Eutexia, well, it's the highest scoring, so I think that's fine. Opponent's rack pretty grim, and this is the situation I was mentioning. If he doesn't have a bingo, he's likely to be minded to take out this triple word square, and thereby shooting himself in the foot by killing the last remaining bingo lane on the board, which is exactly what he does. So I now have a 90-point lead. I have Eustelli, it doesn't play. And I play a lute for 8, and I still like that play with a blank to come and expediting the end of the game. I think it has a lot of merit, and I'm only sacrificing 8 points. And although 8 points, you might think this is a good rack leave, it's a bingo rack leave on a board with no bingo lanes, so it's not actually that great. The V and W are more useful to me than bingo-y tiles. Opponent plays no. So ever available in column 8, but that provides bingo floaters, so I prefer V for 24, despite the 15-point sacrifice. Not a great rack for opponent. He plays GI, so let's go back. He played GI from this rack. Well, he's going to struggle to sort the rack out and create a bingo lane, and he's also in a position that he can only create one bingo lane, which I'm likely to be able to take out, so he's really in a pretty desperate position. My rack. Oh, whoop, where's that J2? Well, that's no good because it takes an S in front. So I play O. Opponent plays go. Bag's empty. So I'm looking to go out in 2, and not many of these plays achieve that. The top one probably does with EOS. M11. So yeah, row 8 through this T, that's pretty nice. 25 points. And OES surely plays somewhere. I'm just looking around for where. And I'm struggling. Well, maybe it doesn't. So what do? I play Oak for 14, and that does give me an out in column 8. Opponent's rack, no bingo. Plays Fanjets. And finally, Soka and Soper and Sora are the only outs in 1. Maybe it would have been better to play Rote, because opponent's not going out in 1 with this rack. But Soper certainly does end the game immediately. So, what a game. Absolutely tremendous fun. Given that I haven't had a great record against this opponent, I don't keep stats, but I just recognise the name as somebody I often have good battles with, and sometimes come off losing. When an opponent of that ilk opens with a bingo, you feel it might not be your game, but it just turned around in the middle of the game and everything seemed to go my way, and I was able to enter the end game with a comfortable lead. So another festive bloodbath. Many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.